I got here a 2015 Chrysler Town Country. Now, this thing's from the auction, and it had problems with the transmission, so they changed the transmission. Now, I don't know if what the initial problem was, but right now, the thing, when you shift it, I'm just doing a scan. Right now, let me show you what the issue is. So the car turns on and it doesn't go out of first gear, and when you shift it, look, listen, it makes a huge clunk every time you go into drive. And when you drive it, it gets like stuck in first gear, and it'll drive, but you know. So let me just do a full health report. Alright, so we got a code for P0731 Gear Ratio Error first. Now, this code's very vague because, if I remember correctly, this code, it uses three sensors. It uses the input sensor, which is also the turbine sensor, and the transfer sensor, and the actual sensor, the output sensor. And somehow it makes the calculation between the three of those sensors which gear it's in. So, let me just look at scan data quickly. Alright, we have a data stream. I'm just going to type in speed. So we'll take engine speed, vehicle speed, transfer speed, turbine speed, which is the input speed, output speed. Okay, let's see what we got here. Alright, so everything's at 0. Now, if I remember correctly, the turbine speed in park should be reading. Now, the output and the transfer will only be reading in gear. So, let's go to drive. It shakes. See? Output and transfer read for a second. Now I'm sort of blocked in there, but I'm reversing, so all the other speeds are working. Just gonna go back a little bit. Okay. Whoa. Okay. Yeah, I got nothing on this. Alright, so step number one, I'm going to check at the speed sensor. It's very easy. I'll just put a scope on it. It's a regular AC signal. It's pretty much just a 2-wire sensor, and it reads a metal tone ring inside the transmission, and when it spins, it generates a voltage, and I should be able to see that on the scope. So I'll put a scope on this sensor right here and see if we get anything from it. And it could just be a bad sensor. So the sensor is right here. The sensor here. Now I'm gonna back probe it and see what we got. I'm just gonna shut that car. No reason to make it extra hot. All right. So here's the sensor. I'm just gonna back probe it. Okay, that's one. Okay, I'm using this little scope. Just turn it on. Okay. Okay. So I got that thing back probed, both wires. I'm gonna take this in the car. Open the window. Alright, so I am on a 10-volt division scale. Let's just lower that. We're gonna push millivolts. We'll lower that to 5 volts of division. I don't know what the signal is supposed to be. It's a sine wave, but I don't know how big of a sine wave. Okay, let's see. I'm gonna turn the car on. Oh, there we go. We got a signal on the screen, and it looks pretty big. It's like going from, it looks like 8 volts peak to peak. If I rev it, it goes off the screen. So let me go to volts, make it higher time base. So we definitely got a speed sensor here now, and we got nothing on the scan tool. right here we got nothing, and here we have a speed sensor. So I'm gonna have to go find out where the sensor goes to. I'm assuming the computer, but let me just show you why. I think that when you go into drive, it shuts off. There you go. See, it shuts off until you actually drive. See, when I drive a little bit, it's fluctuating a tiny drop. I can't drive it a lot, but there you go. Reverse. When I go into reverse, it's off again. Pretty much anytime I'm in the gear, the sensor is not reading unless I actually drive, but in park and neutral, it reads the whole time. So I know the sensor's working fine. I got to find out where the sensor goes to. So let me pull up a diagram. All right, let's pull up a diagram here. So let's see, diagrams, transmission, digital transmission. Okay, what do we got here? So we should have speed sensors, and this is a single diagram. Cool. So we got a transfer speed sensor, an output speed sensor, and an input speed sensor. Now I just know from experience which one it is, but if you didn't, you can look it up in service information. So the input right side of a transaxle is dark green white and dark green and violet. That's our sensor that seems like it's not working. I mean, the sensor itself's working, but the scantle's not reading it. And it goes straight to the speed sensor return and the input speed signal of the patch and control module on connector 1. So it doesn't look like there's any connectors, but there has to be a splice for this dark green and violet, which is the ground. So they're all sharing a ground, all the sensors. So I'm assuming the ground's good. So if we have a problem, it's going to be on the dark green and white wire. Well, it's not really true. It could also be on the ground wire, just broken before that splice. So what are we going to do? I think the easiest way just to verify our problem is just go straight to the computer and back probe, or probably it's a computer, so probably pierce these two wires right here, the T13, 9 and 10 on connector 1 on the PCM, and see if we have a signal there. If we don't, jump power. If we do, then I don't know, maybe we'll chase the back computer. Alright, so let me get set up for that. I got here pierced. This is the power and that's the ground. The purple and green is the ground. That's at the computer. So let's just move my scope over. Yeah. Put power there. Okay. So car's still running and I got nothing. But I do have voltage. I got 3 volts. Steady 3 volts. So it's almost as if this thing's not being grounded. How would I check that? Okay, I think the easiest thing, I'm just gonna jump the ground from here to the sensor itself and see if we get our signal back. Alright, I'm gonna jump the ground side. So let's just separate this. Alright, I'm gonna use this one over here. Okay, use the ground over there. Okay, and we're gonna jump it to the ground at the computer right here. Let's go behind my ground wire. And now let's see if we got a signal. We still don't have a signal. So it's not a ground issue. Let's jump the power side. Or maybe it's volt, but then how does it have voltage on it? Maybe it's a bias voltage from the computer. Okay. Alright, we got our signal back. And now let's see if we have signal on the scope, and we do on the computer. So right here we have the turbine speed. It's working. So there's an open, I think, in the power side. in the signal wire. Shift really, really smooth. It goes down to 0. Transfer speed goes up. Put it back in park, and the speed goes back up. So we have just a broken wire somewhere. The question is, let me just quickly test that. Let's disconnect the ground side from the scope. Connecting this right here. And our turbine speed goes to 0. Let me disconnect the power. Oh, sorry, so it is on the ground. Unless I'm wrong, yeah, white is the ground. No, white's the power, yeah. So it's the ground side, because I pulled off this one and the power side, and we still have our turbine speed, so it's really just on the ground one. Let me just see on the scope. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, that was just a bad reading. But yeah, so it's just the ground circuit is bad over here. So let me look at a diagram, see if I can find any connectors in line, and we'll see. All right, let's see what we got. Okay, so on this aftermarket sensor, the only thing that it has is this, there's a splice here for all the grounds. Engine harness, left side of engine compartment, S131. So let me see if I can look up that number. Okay. It's giving us a location. S131. It seems like it's in the big harness going to the computer. Okay, so that's the one splice location. Now let me see if I can find on a factory diagram. Diagrams, OE. Now where's the sensor? Right here. Input speed is right here. Again, no connectors. It's a straight wire. The only thing is the splice of the ground. We're gonna have to go for the splice first. I think that's the best spot. Alright, so it was showing it where. Here's the computer. It's a little higher up. Let's go look. Alright, right here is the splice. Alright, so there's only one wire that comes down. It's that one. Alright, so let's disconnect this line. And now we're going to travel up. Okay, so I went in from up here after the crimp. I got my signal back. And the turbine speed's back. But if I go on top of it, let's say that crimp is definitely supposed to be connected. Let me go up here. Okay, right now my turbine speed is at nothing. If I go in here, okay, so my turbine speed still goes up, so that means the crimp over here is good. Let's check the other one. Here it's good. And over here it's good. So I gotta fix this up. It's not over here. So I gotta clean up all those holes I made with some nail polish. Put that back together. But I want to go check over here, like if any of the wires. Let's just, oh my gosh, it's right here. Oh boy. Okay. It's right here. The wire's ripped. That is our whole issue. Right there. Connect this wire and we'll be good to go. Yeah. Let me take this out. Let's fix up this wire. Yeah, I'm gonna pull the whole plug out. That'll give me more room. Okay, I'm just gonna solder this together. And we'll be good to go. Alright, I only went like 15 minutes down a rabbit hole. That happens. Now, if I plug this in and turn the car on, we should have a turbine speed. And we do. Fast shift. No clunk whatsoever. And this thing's fixed. Let me just clear the code. Clear full codes. Alright, that's the engine. Okay. Full code complete. Okay, there's no code on. Lights off. Shift it. And we're good to go. That's it. We got it fixed. Alright, thanks for watching.